Hey folks, another topic that's been coming up a lot has been specs and notes. So why do we have the spec sheet? Why do we have all the note stuff in the work orders and the counter transaction? Well, that's to help you guys keep track of stuff. Obviously, shop stuff can get pretty busy and interactions can happen between different customers, different employees. One employee starts the special order or the work order, another employee works on it, and then another employee is the one that is there when the customer picks it up. Various different things. Obviously, there's a lot of things, especially during busy season, that can lead to confusion or not everyone being on the same page. So there's a lot of benefits to having notes and spec sheet. So we'll go over spec sheet first. So obviously the spec sheet comes up for bows and arrows, and then if you connect it to other things, that can include recurves, crossbows, bolts, that kind of stuff. Um, and you can access those in a work order as well as the dashboard. So the really cool thing about the spec sheet is I can come into a customer's dashboard, or I can go to it through their open work order. I can go into their equipment list, and excuse the clutter, this is the training account we use. And I can go through and I can look at all of the bows and arrows that they have bought from me or brought in. Little things like, okay, this one was a work order because the number starts with WO, and then this one was a new bow sale. So I can tell, okay, this bow was bought from me on this date, whereas this bow was brought in for service on this date. So I can kind of use that to tell the difference between, a customer that brings in a bow for service. Maybe they bought it from another store. Maybe they bought it from me prior to switching to this system, that kind of thing, and then I can tell, okay, yeah, they bought it from me. I can do the same thing with arrows, and then I can click on the bows and arrows to get the information I want, provided I put it in there. This would be an example of nothing. I didn't put any information in there, whether I forgot or I didn't want to, or, we don't require it. And then this one would be a good example of putting the notes in. Obviously, all of this is optional. There's no required field on any of these. But the cool thing is you can put this in at any time. You can put this in when you start the work order, when the customer's standing right in front of you. You can ask them, hey, if you haven't done it already in the process, you can ask them what their draw length is. Most of you, while you're selling the bow, you've probably already set draw length, for them to test the bow, or they're going to buy it, so you've already figured out draw length. Maybe you've already known the poundage, but their dexterity. So put it in there, dexterity, draw length. Hey, what poundage do you want me to set it at? You might not know peep height till you get it tuned or get it back in from them. You're not going to know knock point till you get the rest on there. Those are things you can do, or you can come back and do it when you're tuning it. When you're setting it up, put in the knock height, put in the string and cable length, put in the brace height, put in the serial number. All of these things are important because, knowing you guys, knowing how you work and knowing how I worked, these things are all things that could come back down the road. This customer could come bring this bow back in a couple months later, and his buddy dry fired it, or he says his buddy dry fired it, and you've got to put it back together. Well, if you know what draw length, poundage, peep height, knock height was when you set it up, maybe the strings aren't broken and you can just put them back together. You basically get it back to pretty much the original tune and specs as when it left the shop the first time, which means he's going to have to do less sight-in work to get it back to what it was before. Maybe he brings it back in a year or two later and he needs strings and cables. How easy is it to look it up here, and pull off the string and cable lengths from right here rather than calling the manufacturer and getting it, or trying to look up their tune charts. Obviously some companies are easier to find that information out than others. Customers are notorious for pulling the sticker off their bow, which has all that information on it. So if you put it in there, you have it. It makes it super easy. You've got the model year purchased. The only reason we have those two in there is because if you do any type of trade-ins or consignments or used stuff, then okay, this is a 2014 bow, but he bought it in 2016. So it's used. So depending on the manufacturer, whether or not he's covered under warranty. Serial number is a big one. Some of you guys are using our serial number system and tracking all your bows by serial number. And if that's how you like doing it, awesome. If you want to know more about that, then give us a call or shoot us an email. But serial number is awesome. It's very important because I'm sure you guys have all had it. where there are various different reasons, whether your shop gets broken into and they steal a couple bows, and then the police want the serial numbers for reports, or a customer gets their bow stolen and they need the serial number for a police report, or maybe they need the bow specs or the receipt itself for warranty information through the manufacturer. There are a lot of reasons for having the serial number, as well as warranty stuff with you guys. And then bow notes is cool because that allows you to put whatever notes you want in there, and it saves it to this page for the life of the customer, um, as well. So that can be how the bow tuned. So when they bring it back in, what you fought maybe, or what was you were struggling with on the first time, what needs to be changed, what was different, so you can put all that info in there. So that's really, really cool. Um, you can print it out, give it to the customer if they want a copy, leave it on the bow if you want that information out on the bow physically. You can do whatever you want to it, but it does save that for life. So those are important. Probably, in my opinion, the even more important ones are going to be the arrows, because the reality is we as shops probably deal with arrows more than anything else. Whether we're selling arrows, whether we're refletching arrows, repairing arrows, whatever. Customers are always buying arrows. Um, whether they're just buying the same arrows over and over because they like the way they shoot, or they're buying new arrows to try out, or they're changing the fletching style, all that stuff. So this is important. And arrows tend to be the biggest thing, um, for archers, as far as, gifts. I mean, that's a big holiday item. Hey, I want to buy my husband a dozen arrows for Christmas or for his birthday, or, this and that. Or, hey, my um, dad has a hunt coming up. I want to get him some arrows, that kind of thing. So that's really important. It's a big deal. So what do we normally do? We normally don't save that information. We don't care about it. We let it go. Customer comes back. They're super excited. Hey, you remember those arrows you sold me last week? They're awesome. I want to get some more. And we laugh at them. Not everyone, not all the time, but our initial reaction is either we laugh at him, or we look at him with a puzzled look because we don't remember who he is, because we've dealt with 100 other customers and built and sold 1,000 different arrows since he came in. So we don't remember him. He remembers us because he was super happy with us and excited with us, and we did a good job. So we either laugh at him because and tell them, dude, I did this many arrows and talked to this many customers. I don't remember what arrow you have. Or you look at them puzzled, like, I don't remember you. What was it? We ask them what it was. They rarely know. The reality is, most customers, unless they've been doing it for a while, as you guys know, they rarely remember their stuff, and they always exaggerate it. It's just like anything else. You ask someone what kind of mileage their truck is getting, they're going to tell you they're getting 24 miles a gallon, knowing full well they're getting 12. You're gonna ask them how big the fish they caught was, and it was, what was really a 6-inch fish was a 10-inch fish. So everyone exaggerates everything, or they just don't know. So they might exaggerate or not remember their cut length. They might not know the spine length or the weight or anything on there. So they're telling you, oh yeah, it was. They were carbon 400 grainers. Well, most arrows are carbon, so yeah, and there's no such thing as a 400 grainer. It was probably a 400 spine. Do you remember the brand? And you start this process of elimination, trying to figure it out, trying to figure it out. So they're feeling dumb because they don't remember, and you're not helping them like they think you should help them. And then maybe you finally get down to it, but you're still not 100%. And now you go, well, what's the cut length? Oh, I don't know. What's the draw length on your bow? Oh, I don't know. So then you can't do them. So then it comes into other things. So now you ask them to go home, get their arrow, bring it back, and you'll measure it, and then you'll get it ready and go from there. So now they're going out of their way to go all the way back home, grab their previous arrow or their bow. Maybe they're out of arrows, come all the way back to you, do all that, then go back home again because you probably don't have them ready, and then come back and pick them up. In their minds, that was a bad experience, and that's the thing. We know this is how it works, and we know have our own policies where we don't want to cut arrows without knowing the exact cut length, because if we do it wrong, now we eat them, and now we've got arrows that are sitting around we can't do anything with. We want to make sure we get it right. But in their minds, that's a bad experience, and customer service is based off of the customer, not the shop. It's how they perceive it, because they're the ones that are going to tell their buddies, friends, families, hey, that's a great shop, or hey, they suck, or they're rude. And they're the ones writing the reviews that other people are reading. So we need to obviously cater to them. Doesn't mean always bend over backwards. It doesn't mean the customer is always right, but there are things we can do to make that interaction better. So what this does is you can put all that information in there. So next time, Joe Smith comes in, you can save all of it to this spec sheet. You can save his cut length. You can put in whether he's doing veins or feathers, what the fletching length is, orientation, whether it's right, left, or straight for the offset, what color you're fletching them to, the knock color, if that's specific, what knocks. Obviously, with things getting different and things changing, um, there's more or less changing of different knocks and inserts and tips, so we can put all that information in there. And then add arrow wraps or notes or arrow notes. Maybe the customer likes to insert themselves for broadhead alignment. Maybe they, want them cut a specific way. So we can put all that stuff in there and save it. And same thing, we can print it out, leave it to the customer, print it out, leave it with the arrows. But it allows us to get a lot more control going on of that. And then when they come in, you can go, oh, well, hey, let me look it up. Yeah, you bought Access 400s, 26 inches. Do you still want them, yellow with blue knocks and 100 grain field tips? And he goes, yeah. Or no, I want to try a different color out, see if I see it better. And you go, okay, cool. Well, and what it does allow you to is it allows you to do phone orders if you want. You can tell a customer when you're selling them their first set of arrows, hey, I'm putting all your info in here. So in the future, if you want to do a phone order, all you got to do is call ahead and give me, your card number over the phone. I'll make them up for you, and you pick them up when it's done. So it allows you a lot more flexibility, consistency, and it increases your appearance of good quality customer service. I'm sure you guys have all had the, wife coming in to buy her husband arrows for Christmas, and then you got to tell her to go sneak into his hunting room, grab an arrow out of his quiver, be careful, there might be a broadhead on it, so don't cut yourself, and come back and get it figured out, and all this stuff. So those things are really, really important. Um, Again, it's all optional. Those are just some tips, and some of you guys are using it really well. Some of you guys do a great job with it. Some of you guys already have other systems in place, so you don't need it. So that's great. So obviously the tools are there to use at your leisure, but these are things I highly recommend. On top of that, notes in a work order, those are always going to be really good. The reason we put those in there is, again, work orders can be in your shop for days, weeks, sometimes months, depending on what it is, especially this season. Now with Hoyt just releasing their bows today, and, Matthews should be coming out here pretty soon. Obviously people are doing special orders, and as we know from the past, special orders can take a long time. I don't even want to mention how long my special order was the last time I ordered a bow. Um, but yeah, so things can be in there. So there's room for stuff to get lost, forgotten about, changed, notes go missing, whatever, especially if you're handwriting them. So we put a lot of notes in the work orders so that you can add those notes in there, so you can look them up as you're going along. I know I've talked to you guys a lot about this, but obviously we've got customer notes, we've got tech response, we've got shop notes. This example, there's no shop notes, but customer notes is going to be their stuff, anything to do with them. That could be notes directly from that customer. That could be notes about the customer. It could be you putting in there, hey, customer wants us to take the stuff off of his old bow, put it on his new bow. Or it could be what the customer is telling you, hey, dude, my bow's all jacked up and it's making a weird noise when I shoot it. Can you tune it? Make sure you fix everything. Tech response is going to be your notes, as well as the where it saves the sent note or the sent responses. So it's going to be where you put in, hey, we went through it, tuned it, made sure everything's good to go. It was rattling because the module was loose, but it's awesome. It's ready to rock. And it's also where it saves it. So when you guys send notifications through work orders, whether you send them via text or email or both, it saves it in that tech response. So that way you have a record of everything you sent the customer. So that way okay, yes, I sent this customer a notification. No, I didn't send this customer a notification. If the customer comes in and complains to you, well, why didn't you guys notify me? You can go, hey, I did. Here's the sent date. I sent you a notification on the 1st saying, hey, your bow's ready for pickup. So either you didn't get it, or you gave me the wrong contact info, so let's figure it out. So it kind of gets you guys off the hook and helps you keep track of what you may or may not have sent the customer. Then the shop notes, obviously, that's a protected note field, so the customer doesn't see it. As you see, it won't show up on this. So if I print this work order out or if I send this to the customer, there is no shop notes. This button is only here for me as me logged into the system. So those are things where I can put the notes in there that maybe the customer doesn't need to see or shouldn't see, um, whatever. Hey, this customer's kind of difficult to deal with, or hey, this boat is shoots like crap, or it doesn't tune well. Whatever. I mean, you guys decide and put the stuff in there. Obviously, be discreet. But obviously, we know that there are some things that go on behind the scenes that customers don't need to know about, that are just between employee to employee or employee to manager to boss, whatever. So those are there too. Again, they're all optional. You don't have to use them. You can keep doing them the way you have been doing them, or you can not do any notes if you want to. But they are there for you so that you can put them in there and save them. Because being that they're electronic, they're in the database. They don't go away, so you don't have to worry about losing the piece of paper with his info on it or with what he needed done on there. You don't have to worry about losing the note you made for to do something. None of that. You have it all saved in there, so it's there forever, and it's there even after the work order is picked up. So if you need to look up past work orders to figure out what was going on, maybe it's complaining about something else, or maybe um, you need to look up history on something, it's always there. We're never going to delete anything. You're never going to delete anything. You're not going to lose information. It's just going to go to a different place so you can access it later. So you'll never lose notes. You'll never lose history. You'll never lose specs. So it's always going to be there for you guys to use for whatever reason you need it, even if it is a marketing thing or whatever. So um, those are just some things that have been talked about recently. As I'm sure you guys have seen, a couple updates ago, we added the ability to put notes in on counter transactions as well as work orders. And then those notes show up on the work orders. They don't currently show up on the counter transaction when you print it out. We are working on that. We're going to have that added in here pretty quick. They do show up on the work orders. So you can add item specific notes for those of you that maybe don't track color on your products, or maybe it's a miscellaneous item code. So you've got that. And then we've got customer notes as well. So you can put customer notes in there. So just a bunch of stuff. There's no such thing as, um, too many notes. There is such thing as not enough notes. So, you guys have plenty of options and ability to put notes in pretty much everywhere in the system. So if you guys got any questions or any thoughts or ideas or opinions for us, obviously feel free to let us know. You can comment on the videos or on the Facebook. You can email us, dan@orgmyrange.com or cassie@orgmyrange.com, or you can give us a call, 480-664-2096. Leave a message. If we're not at the office, we'll get back to you, and give us some ideas on what you guys would like to see, what you guys are happy with. If you guys have any questions on anything, or need some info or advice, that's why we're here. Have a good one, you guys.